What if you're not living this life for the first time? What if you've been here before, made the same choices, met the same people, and faced the same challenges, without even realizing it? The strange feeling of déjà vu, signs of a looping life. Have you ever experienced a moment that felt eerily familiar, even though you were certain it had never happened before? A fleeting sense that you've already stood in this exact spot, heard these words, or watched this scene play out, almost like a memory from a dream, except you're wide awake? Most of us brush it off, a strange trick of the mind, a glitch in our perception. But what if it's something more? What if, in that instant, your soul is remembering something your mind cannot, an echo from a past cycle of your existence? Déjà vu is one of the strangest and most unsettling experiences we can have. It's quick, ungraspable, yet deeply profound. It feels as if reality itself flickers for just a moment, hinting at something hidden beneath the surface. Scientists offer many theories: misfired neurons, a lag in how our brain processes information, a simple illusion. But none of these explanations truly capture the weight of déjà vu, the way it lingers in the back of your mind, making you question reality itself. What if déjà vu isn't an accident? What if it's a message? Is déjà vu a glimpse into a repeating life? Imagine life is a circle, not a straight line. What if instead of moving forward into the unknown, we're caught in an invisible loop, repeating the same moments over and over? In each cycle, our memory is wiped clean, but sometimes small fragments slip through. Déjà vu could be one of those fragments. Many ancient philosophies and spiritual traditions suggest that life is not a single journey, but a series of cycles, each one meant to teach us something. In Hinduism and Buddhism, the concept of samsara describes an endless loop of rebirth, where the soul returns again and again, shaped by past experiences. What if this cycle isn't just about reincarnation into new bodies, but into the same life itself? Perhaps déjà vu happens when we are approaching a moment that we have already lived before. A moment where, in another loop, we made a choice that led us down a path we weren't meant to take. What if these moments are tiny opportunities, chances to recognize the cycle and make a different decision? Theories that challenge reality. There are countless stories of people experiencing déjà vu in ways that defy logic. A woman visits a city for the first time, yet she already knows every street, every corner, before she even turns them. A man meets a stranger, but deep inside, he feels as if he's known them for years. Their conversations flow effortlessly, like they're continuing a dialogue from another time. Someone hears a song they've never encountered before, yet somehow they already know the melody. Some researchers suggest that déjà vu could be connected to the multiverse theory, that what we're experiencing isn't just a memory, but a brief moment where two versions of reality overlap. Could it be that in another version of your life, you've already lived this exact moment? Maybe in another timeline, you made a different choice, and for a split second, your consciousness remembers. Or perhaps it's proof that you're walking down a path you've already traveled, again and again, trapped in an unseen loop. What if déjà vu is a warning? Think about it. Why do some déjà vu moments feel neutral, while others feel strangely significant? Could it be that some of them are nudges from our past selves, warning us of a mistake we made before? Some believe that déjà vu is strongest when we are at a crossroads, when we are about to repeat a choice that, in another cycle, led us somewhere we weren't supposed to go. What if those déjà vu moments that feel unsettling are actually opportunities to choose differently. The next time you experience deja vu, don't ignore it. Pause. Look around. What decision are you about to make? Could it be the same one you've made before? Have you ever had deja vu that felt too real, as if you weren't just remembering something, but reliving it? Let me know in the comments. The time loop hypothesis. Could reincarnation be repetition, not progression? What if your life isn't moving forward, but repeating? What if every decision you make, every person you meet, and every event you experience has already happened before and will happen again? Maybe that feeling of familiarity you sometimes get isn't just a trick of the mind. Maybe it's a crack in the illusion, a glimpse into the truth, that you've already lived this life, made these choices, and followed this exact same path countless times before, but just don't remember. We like to believe that life is linear. We are born, we grow, we make choices, and eventually we pass on, never to return to the same existence. But what if time isn't a straight line at all? What if it's a circle? And what if you've been here before? What is the time loop hypothesis? Most reincarnation theories suggest that after death, we come back as a different person, in a different time, with no memory of who we once were. But what if reincarnation doesn't mean moving forward into a new life, but repeating the same one, over and over? This idea, sometimes called eternal recurrence, suggests that instead of moving on to a new body, a new era, or a new destiny, our consciousness is reset. We begin the same life again, from the very start, as if pressing restart on a game. If this is true, then right now, at this very moment, you might be experiencing the same reality you have already lived 1,000 times before. The choices you're making now, the people you meet, the paths you choose, they have all been part of your journey countless times, but you don't remember. And perhaps you're not supposed to. Why don't we remember our past cycles? If we are repeating our lives, why don't we recall them? Shouldn't we at least have flashes of recognition, like knowing what's going to happen before it does? Maybe we do, just in fragments. Déjà vu, gut feelings, and unexplained fears could all be subtle traces of past cycles. But what if forgetting is part of the loop itself? If we remembered everything, we might make different choices, altering the cycle and breaking the repetition. Maybe the loop depends on our ignorance, so that we continue reliving the same experiences, making the same mistakes, and repeating the same patterns. There was an eerie thought. What if you've already had this exact realization in another cycle, and then forgotten it all over again? What if that déjà vu you experience is your mind trying to remind you of something from your past selves, but only for a fleeting moment, before it fades away once more? Clues that life is repeating. Certain experiences might hint that we are stuck in a loop. Déjà vu that feels stronger than a normal memory. Not just a passing familiarity, but a deep knowing. Repeating life patterns. Always attracting the same type of relationships, making the same mistakes, or feeling like you're destined to experience certain events no matter what you do. A sense of inevitability, as if your future is already written, and no matter how much you try to change things, you always end up in the same place. If you've ever felt trapped in a cycle like, no matter how much you grow or change, you end up repeating the same struggles, it could be because this isn't your first time living through them. Perhaps you've been in this loop for so long that the moments that seem like random events are actually part of a greater pattern that has been unfolding over lifetimes. The escape theory. Can we break the loop? If we are caught in a time loop, is there a way out? Some spiritual traditions suggest that enlightenment, true self-awareness, could be the key. By recognizing the patterns in our lives and changing the way we respond to them, we might be able to break free from the cycle. What if the purpose of the loop is to teach us something? To keep repeating until we finally make the right choices. Perhaps the loop is not about repetition for its own sake, but to help us grow and evolve in a way that can lead to spiritual awakening and freedom. And what if, in another version of your life, you've already asked yourself this question before? What if, by breaking out of the loop, you're fulfilling your true purpose, the one you might not fully remember yet? Breaking the cycle might be the key to a deeper, more profound existence, a journey to discover who you truly are, beyond the boundaries of time. The invisible clues. Are there signs that we've lived this before? What if there are clues all around you, pointing to the fact that this isn't your first time here? What if the strange feeling of familiarity you get when you walk into a room, or when you meet someone for the first time, isn't just coincidence? What if these invisible signs are telling you something far deeper about your life and your past? Maybe the universe is leaving us subtle breadcrumbs to guide us toward the truth. Or maybe the only thing we need to do is open our eyes wide enough to see them. Is it possible that we're being given clues, quiet, invisible hints, that we've lived this life before? That behind our daily experiences, there's a deeper reality hidden just below the surface? Let's take a step back and examine those moments in life when something feels a little off, a little too familiar. It's almost like the universe is whispering to us, but we're too distracted to hear. Déjà vu, the most obvious sign. One of the most common signs that we might have lived this life before is the experience of déjà vu. That odd moment when you suddenly feel like you've been somewhere before, met a person before, or said something before, despite knowing you haven't It quotes as if the world is giving you a brief flash of recognition from another time. Some believe that déjà vu is a sign that we've lived the moment before, as if our consciousness briefly connects with a past life experience. This glitch in the matrix sensation could be the universe's way of saying, you've been here before, and you'll probably be here again. Perhaps those moments are fragments of memories from a life you've already lived. The feeling is so real, so intense, that it's almost impossible to shake off. Could it be that you're subconsciously drawing on past experiences, tapping into a hidden bank of memories that your mind hasn't fully unlocked yet? Intuition and gut feelings, the echo of past lives. Another sign that we've lived before might come in the form of deep intuition or gut feelings. You know those moments when you just know something is going to happen, or you know you're meant to be in a particular place, even though there's no logical explanation. These flashes of insight, often called intuition, could be more than just instincts. They could be remnants of past experiences, it quotes, as though your past selves are trying to guide you. Maybe you've already walked down this road in a different lifetime, and your soul remembers the path, even though your conscious mind doesn't. That gut feeling you get when you meet someone new and feel like you've known them forever. Could that be a sign that your lives have crossed paths before? Your body remembers what your mind cannot. This unexplainable knowing might just be the universe's way of leaving you clues, inviting you to see life through a lens of something much older and more experienced than the version of yourself that exists today. Recurring patterns, the cycle that never ends. One of the most compelling signs that we've lived before is the constant appearance of recurring patterns in our lives. These could be familiar situations, people, or even emotions that seem to appear over and over again. For example, maybe you always seem to attract the same type of people into your life, people who either uplift or hurt you in the same ways. Or maybe you find yourself in similar situations over and over, feeling like you're stuck in a loop, even though you try to change your choices. Some believe that these repeating patterns aren't just a coincidence. They could be remnants of the past, suggesting that the lessons you need to learn haven't been fully mastered yet. You might be stuck in a cycle from a previous life, and until you address these recurring patterns, they'll continue to repeat, just as they have before. Past life memories. Is it possible to remember? Have you ever experienced a memory that felt too real, too detailed, to simply be an imagination? Perhaps a dream where you were in another time period or country, or a sudden burst of knowledge about something you've never learned in this lifetime. These could be more than just wild fantasies. Some believe they are true past life memories, while many dismiss such memories as nothing more than dreams. Some believe that they are fragments of past experiences, bleeding through the veil of our current consciousness. Perhaps in a past life, you were a painter, a king, or a traveler in another world, and parts of those lives are still alive within you. The purpose of the loop. Are we meant to learn a lesson? What if the reason you keep finding yourself in the same situations, making the same mistakes, and encountering the same people is not a mistake at all? What if it's all part of a plan, a cosmic design, guiding you through each cycle of your life so you can learn something important? What if the loop, the repetition, is not a curse, but a blessing in disguise? Could the challenges you face, the struggles you encounter, be the universe's way of teaching you something your soul needs to understand before you can truly move on? The idea of life as a loop is unsettling for some. But what if the repetition has a purpose? Maybe we're not meant to live these cycles endlessly out of mere randomness or cosmic mistake. Perhaps the loop exists to help us grow, learn, and evolve. But what exactly are we meant to learn? And why do we keep facing the same challenges, no matter how hard we try to break free from them? The lesson in repetition. Imagine life as a classroom. Each cycle, each repetition, is a lesson that your soul is trying to master. Just as a student must repeat exercises to truly understand a concept, perhaps your soul is going through various trials and experiences repeatedly until it learns the necessary lessons. Think about the people and situations that seem to pop up over and over. They might be trying to teach you something you haven't yet understood. A lesson in compassion, patience, forgiveness, or perhaps letting go. Your soul could be stuck in a cycle of learning these lessons, hoping that one day you'll finally get it. It quote says as if the universe is saying, you can't move forward until you've learned this lesson. Every failed relationship, every mistake, every hurt might not be random. They could be part of the cosmic syllabus your soul is studying. The loop isn't about endless suffering. It's a repeating pattern of lessons waiting to be learned. Could conscious awareness break the loop? But here's the question. Could awareness of the loop be the key to escaping it? If you were fully aware that you were stuck in a cycle, would you be able to recognize the lesson and finally break free from the repetition? It's possible that true awareness, understanding why things keep happening, seeing the patterns in your life, could be the very thing that helps you transcend the loop. Perhaps the universe is waiting for you to fully grasp the meaning behind each cycle, to make a conscious choice to break the pattern. This awareness might come in moments of clarity, an epiphany where you finally realize, I've been here before, and I now understand why this keeps happening. Once you understand the lesson, the cycle might dissolve, and you can move forward into new experiences that were previously blocked by your inability to learn from the past. Is suffering the key to growth? We often think of suffering as something to avoid. Yet what if it's actually the greatest teacher in the loop? The pain we experience in life, whether emotional or physical, may serve a higher purpose. It pushes us to confront difficult truths about ourselves and forces us to grow in ways we never would have otherwise. Many spiritual traditions emphasize that growth and transformation come from facing challenges. In a way, suffering could be the catalyst for spiritual awakening, something we may need to go through in order to transcend the loop. Every painful experience might be the universe's way of preparing you for something greater, even if it feels unbearable in the moment. The soul's evolution, moving beyond the loop. The ultimate question: once the lessons are learned, can the loop be broken? Some spiritual beliefs suggest that once a soul has mastered all the lessons it was meant to learn, it moves on to higher planes of existence. It might no longer need to reincarnate or repeat the same experiences because the soul has evolved past those lessons. Imagine being in a cycle where you're learning, growing, and evolving, and at some point, you reach the point where you no longer need to repeat the mistakes or face the same struggles. Your soul has passed the final exam, and it's ready to move on to a higher state of being. But this transcendence doesn't happen by accident. It happens when you fully embrace the lessons, when you truly understand why you've been through the experiences you've had, and when you learn to apply that wisdom in every new cycle. The purpose of the loop might be evolution transforming your soul into a higher, more enlightened version of itself. Could small choices change the cycle? What if the power to break free from the cycle, to finally move forward, was hidden in the smallest, most seemingly insignificant choices you make every day? Could a single decision, a moment of clarity, change the entire trajectory of your life? What if, just by choosing differently, you could interrupt the loop and set yourself on a completely new path? The universe doesn't always need a grand, dramatic gesture to shift your fate. Sometimes, the smallest choices hold the most power. It's the little steps, the quiet decisions, that could be the key to breaking free from the cycle. It's easy to believe that life's big moments are the ones that define us, the pivotal events, the major decisions, the life-changing experiences. But what if the key to escaping the loop, to breaking free from the repetitive cycles, lies not in the big choices, but in the small, everyday ones? The power of small, intentional decision. Think about the everyday choices you make, the way you react to people, the thoughts you allow yourself to entertain, the habits you decide to continue or change. These small choices may seem trivial in the moment, but they can have a ripple effect on your life. In fact, the small decisions we make could be the very thing that shapes the patterns we experience. Every time you choose a response to a difficult situation, whether it's patience instead of anger, understanding instead of judgment, you're shifting the dynamic of the loop. And with each small choice, you have the potential to break the cycle. What if the cycle you're stuck in is a result of accumulated choices over time? And what if by making a few small changes to your decision-making process, you could disrupt the loop and change its course? Shifting the energy. A new path starts with one step. Every time you decide to act differently, you shift the energy around you. A change in your behavior, mindset, or approach could create a new dynamic in your life. It might seem like a tiny change, but it could be the start of something much bigger. Take karma, for example. A habit you've struggled with. Maybe you've always reacted to stress by isolating yourself, but one day you choose to reach out and talk to someone instead. That single decision, to break the pattern of isolation, could open a door to new connections and opportunities. Over time, it can build into a whole new way of being. By shifting your approach, even in small ways, you're changing the energy you bring into your life. And that shift could be enough to break the cycle of repetition that has held you in place. Breaking the loop with conscious choices. The key to breaking free from the cycle might not be in waiting for some grand event or life-changing moment. It could be in the conscious, everyday decisions you make. Every time you make a choice that feels aligned with your true self, you're steering your life in a different direction. Imagine karma for a moment. That each small, positive decision is like turning the wheel of a ship. It might seem insignificant at first, but over time, those tiny course corrections will add up. Eventually, you'll find yourself on an entirely different path, having broken free from the repetitive cycles that once held you captive. The loop doesn't have to control you. You have the power to make conscious choices that will help you move beyond it, one small step at a time. The impact of present choices on future cycles. What's even more fascinating is the idea that our present choices don't just affect our current cycle. They could also be influencing future cycles. Every choice you make now could have a ripple effect that impacts not only your current reality, but the way you experience future lifetimes. If you choose to heal from past wounds, to forgive, to let go of negative patterns, you're not only shifting your present reality, but also altering the conditions under which your future self will experience life. Perhaps the reason certain cycles persist is because we haven't yet chosen to break the pattern in the present. But if we make the choice today, we may be laying the groundwork for a future that's free of the cycles we've lived through before. Could it be that your soul is awaiting your choice, your decision to shift the course of your life? And that's the key to breaking the cycle for good. What happens if you break the loop? Imagine for a moment that you've finally done it, the impossible. You've broken free from the loop. The cycles of repetition, the patterns that once felt inescapable, are no longer holding you back. But what now? What happens when you break free from the endless cycle of life, when you step out of the loop for good? Freedom from the loop might seem like a dream, but what if it's exactly what you've been working toward all along? Could breaking the cycle open the door to a new chapter of your existence? Or would it throw you into the unknown, uncertain of what lies beyond? Breaking the loop is a profound concept. It's not just about ending the repetition. It's about transcending everything you once thought defined your journey. But what does that mean for your soul, for your future, and for the endless possibilities of existence? A new path of growth and discovery. Once you break the loop, you might find yourself standing on the precipice of a new chapter in your journey. The cycles that once defined your life are no longer there to keep you tethered to the past. You've learned the lessons, grown and evolved. Now, you have the opportunity to walk a path unmarked by repetition. The possibilities are endless. There's no longer a predetermined course. You get to decide what's next. In this new space, growth doesn't come from repetition. It comes from exploration. You're free to embrace new experiences, to learn lessons in completely new ways. The burden of the past is lifted, and you're left with the exhilarating freedom to redefine your reality, one step at a time, facing the unknown, a new reality. But as freeing as it sounds, breaking the loop doesn't come without its challenges. Without the familiar cycles to guide you, the unknown can feel overwhelming. Suddenly, there's no pattern to follow, no set script for your life. You might feel lost, unsure of where to go next. The unknown might feel like a vast, uncharted ocean. The comfort of familiarity is gone, and now you must navigate without a map. But this blank slate also holds immense potential. You have the freedom to create your own path, and in doing so, you can shape the future in ways you never thought possible. What happens when you break the loop? You enter the unknown, but within that uncertainty lies the opportunity for transformation, beyond anything you could have imagined within the cycles you once lived. A higher state of consciousness, transcendence beyond the cycle. In many spiritual traditions, breaking the loop signifies a form of transcendence. It's the moment your soul moves beyond the cycle of reincarnation, beyond the confines of repeated lessons. When you break free, it could mean that your soul has reached its highest potential. This could be the point where you no longer need to come back to the physical world. You've mastered the lessons of your past lives, learned the necessary wisdom, and evolved into a higher state of being. Some believe that this transcendence represents the ultimate goal of spiritual evolution, the final release from the cycle of birth and rebirth. But what does this higher state of consciousness look like? It could mean living in harmony with the universe, where you are no longer attached to the struggles of physical life. It could mean experiencing pure enlightenment, seeing the interconnectedness of all things, and living with an awareness that transcends time and space. Rebirth or reintegration. What's next? Another possibility is that breaking the loop doesn't end your journey. It may simply allow you to experience life in a different form. Some believe that breaking the loop doesn't mean leaving the physical world altogether, but rather reintegrating into it with a new purpose or perspective. This could mean that you've transcended the lessons of the past, but now you return to help others, whether through teaching, guiding, or simply being an example. You're still part of the cycle, but you no longer play by the same rules. You've learned what you needed to learn, and now you can help others break free. It's a form of spiritual evolution, where your consciousness merges with the greater whole of existence, and your presence becomes a source of light for those still trapped in the loop. This doesn't mean you've escaped the world. It means you've become a conscious participant in it, free from the restrictions of your former self. If you're ready to explore what lies beyond the loop, don't forget to like this video and subscribe. Together, we'll uncover the mysteries of life and embark on the journey of transformation. What if you're not supposed to remember? What if the reason you can't remember your past lives, your cycles, or the lessons you've learned before isn't because you've forgotten? What if it's intentional? What if you're not meant to remember, because remembering would interfere with the growth you're meant to experience in this lifetime? Could there be a hidden wisdom in the veil of forgetfulness? Maybe the process of life is meant to be a clean slate every time, where each cycle, each moment, is experienced without the weight of previous memories to influence you. But what happens when the past, with all its knowledge, remains just out of reach? It's a curious thought. What if we're not meant to remember our past experiences, our previous cycles, or the lessons we've learned before? What if the amnesia of reincarnation is a purposeful design, a way to help us focus on the present and future, free from the biases and attachments of the past? The power of living in the present. Imagine for a moment that you were able to remember everything from every past life you've lived. The joys, the pains, the mistakes, and the triumphs. Could this overload of memory cloud your judgment in this current life? Could it distract you from the lessons you're meant to focus on right now? Perhaps the reason we are denied the memories of past lives is so that we can fully embrace the present. If we were constantly aware of our past mistakes or triumphs, we might feel burdened by them. Or worse, we might cling to old identities that no longer serve our soul's evolution. By not remembering, we are free to experience life with a fresh perspective, free of attachments to what came before. The present moment is where true growth happens. If we were bogged down by memories of previous cycles, we might never be able to fully embrace the lessons of the now. The mystery of forgetting. Is it a blessing in disguise? What if the act of forgetting isn't a punishment or a curse, but rather a gift? The mind is designed to forget certain things for a reason. Think about the traumatic events or the painful memories you've had in your current life. There are things you've likely forgotten for your emotional and psychological well-being. Could the same logic apply to the past lives we've lived? Forgetting the details of past cycles could be the universe's way of protecting you. Without this veil of forgetfulness, you might carry the baggage of old wounds, regrets, or attachments into each new life, preventing you from growing or evolving. Perhaps the soul needs to start each life with a clean slate in order to explore new lessons, without the constraints of previous experiences holding it back. The power of not remembering may be that it allows you to fully engage with your current life, free from the weight of history. The role of intuition and subconscious memory. But just because we don't consciously remember our past lives doesn't mean they're entirely gone. What if our subconscious holds onto fragments of our previous experiences? These hidden memories may surface through intuition, gut feelings, or dreams, nudging us in certain directions, helping us make decisions without us even realizing why. Have you ever met someone and felt an instant connection, like you've known them forever, even though you've just met? Or maybe you found yourself drawn to a particular place, art style, or profession without explanation. Could these inexplicable feelings be the echoes of your past lives, quietly guiding you toward what you need to learn in this one? Perhaps our past experiences are not meant to be remembered consciously, but instead are woven into the fabric of our intuition. In this way, we can still be influenced by our past selves without being fully aware of it. The soul's decision is forgetting part of the plan. Maybe, just maybe, our souls choose to forget because it's part of the greater plan of spiritual evolution. What if you've decided, before this lifetime, that you wouldn't remember your past lives because you wanted to experience this life with a clean slate, to learn the lessons anew? In this case, forgetting becomes a conscious decision, a way for your soul to challenge itself, to grow without the crutch of past knowledge. Perhaps the true test of spiritual evolution isn't how much you can remember, but how much you can learn without relying on what you've already known. It's like writing a story without the benefit of an outline, knowing that you're crafting it from scratch, learning along the way. The act of forgetting might be the universe's way of encouraging you to trust your journey, to surrender to the process of life, and to have faith that you're exactly where you need to be.